So I've come to a disturbing realization that most options traders don't really understand how options work at all, because I see a lot of people that trade options that really don't understand the difference between long options and short options, buying a call versus selling a call, or buying a put versus selling a put. And when I say that, I don't mean that they don't understand that. Obviously, when you buy a call, you pay a debit, right? You purchase it, you buy it. They understand that. When you sell it, you get a credit, somebody else is buying it from you. They understand the mechanics of opening the trade, but they don't understand how the trades differ. They don't understand how they perform very differently, right? A long call and a short call act totally different once the trade is placed. Same thing with a long put versus a short put. And I think if most people understood how long options act and how short options act, most people would prefer to sell options rather than buy options. I think, a lot of the Wall Street bets crowd that love to gamble on long options, they would stop buying all of those damn options, right? And start selling options if they properly understood how these things work. The biggest misconception that most options traders have is they think, well, if I just buy a call and the stock goes up, I'm going to make money. Or if I buy a put and the stock goes down, I'm going to make money. That's not the way long options work. Long options, because you pay a debit for them, because you're starting the trade in the hole, right? You're starting the trade underwater because you had to buy that option. You don't need a long call. You don't need the underlying stock to go up. You need the underlying stock to go up a certain amount of money to cover your debit, and you need to do it in a very fast time frame. If it gradually moves up, you're going to lose money. You're going to bleed money. And if it never goes up enough to cover your debit, you're also going to lose money. So this is very different. This is not your 50-50 coin flip like you're used to if you're trading stocks, right? Most people think long options are like 50-50 coin flip stock trades, right? If I get long ABC stock and it goes up a penny, I make a penny per share on all the shares I own. That's not the way a long call works, though. If you're long a call and the stock goes up a penny, that doesn't necessarily mean you made money on the stock. How fast did it go up that penny? Did it go up that penny in the few seconds after you put on the trade? If so, you probably made some money. If it's up a penny after a week of you being in the trade, you're probably down considerably on that long call you're holding. Let me show you how this works on my trading platform here. Of course, I use TASTYTRADE as my platform here. Let me go to a stock I don't currently have a position in. Let's use Apple, and let's go buy a call in Apple. Let's say I'm going to buy the 46 DTE call. I'm going to buy essentially the at the money call, and the closest I'll get is the 230 strike, which is a 56 delta, so slightly in the money. Now I have to pay $9.70 for the option, so 970 times 100, everything in options is times 100, right? It represents 100 shares, so I have to pay $970 for this call option. And for me to make money at expiration, I actually have to recover the $970 that I paid, right? So I actually need the stock not to just go up. I need it to go up at least $9.70, and I need it to finish at least $9.70 higher at expiration for me to profit 1 penny, right? For me to profit at all, it has to finish at least $9.70 higher from where it's trading at right now. And of course, the more it finishes above that, the more profit I would make. Theoretically, you have unlimited profits on a long call, but this is expiration. Most of the time you're not holding things to expiration. If I go to this graph here and let me zoom out, let's see how things look as far as a T0 line. So instead of the expiration P&L, let's go to the theoretical P&L, right? So you can see if the stock starts moving up in a big way, so this is the T0 graph, meaning if Apple makes this move right now, you can see I start making a lot of money right away if Apple starts making a huge move right now. Same thing to the downside. If it moves to the downside, I'm going to start losing huge on my call. But of course, we're talking about Apple making a huge move today, which is what you want with a call. You want your option to move in a fast way, right? You want it to move big and it needs to happen in a hurry. But what happens with the stock if you get the move very slowly? So we're at 46 DTE. Let's go forward in time. Let's go forward all the way. Heck, let's go to 14 DTE. So we've been in the trade a month. And now let's imagine Apple has gone up, but it's gone up, say, $3 or $4. Well, you're actually down money on the trade, right? You're actually down $100, $150 on the trade, somewhere in that general neighborhood. You still haven't profited on this trade yet. Even though Apple has gone up, you didn't get the move fast enough. And if I keep going forward in time, very late in the option cycle, you can see now Apple could be trading, $7 or $8 higher before you even break even as far as the T0 line. This is the problem with these long options, these long calls. The same thing with the long puts. If you're bearish on a stock, is you don't need just to get the move right. You need to guess direction right, but you need to guess direction right and have the direction happen in a hurry. So this is very different than your stock trades, because with trading stocks, you buy shares, and if the stock goes up, you make money. If the stock goes down, you lose money. There's no time on it, as far as you can theoretically hold the shares forever as long as the company exists, right? Where these options trades, they're on a timer, right? So when you buy that call, when you buy that put, you got to get direction right. 100%, you've got to get direction right, but it's worse than that. You also have to get the time right, and you have to have that time work out in your favor in a hurry. So you can think of buying and selling shares of stock as a 50-50 coin flip kind of trade, but with options, these long calls and long puts, they're actually worse than 50-50 coin flip kind of trades, because it's not just you picking direction right, which is a 50-50 kind of coin flip, up or down, pick a direction. And you also got to, again, you got to get the move right in the right time frame. Now, the great thing with options is that for every long option, there's a short option. If you're long an option, somebody else sold you that option. There's always a counterparty to each and every trade. And if we just talked about long options, they're not great, right? They're less than 50-50 kind of trades, right? You're more likely to lose on them than win on them. Well, obviously, if you take the other side of the trade, if you're short the option, you're doing pretty good, right? And that's what most people don't understand. Instead of buying a call, if you're bearish, why not sell a put? Why not sell this 26 delta put for $3.25 credit? You're going to win on this trade at expiration 77% of the time. If you manage the trade at a 50% winner, you're going to win 90% of the time on a 26 delta put. Why do you get such a fantastic win rate on these things? It's because when you're short options, you have a credit, which is a cushion, right? That helps you on your trades. It gives you some wiggle room. It gives you some runway to be wrong on direction. You don't have to be right on direction when you sell options. Unlike the long options, right? They have to get direction right, and they have to get it right in a hurry. If you're on the other side of the trade, you don't have to be right on direction at all, right? So obviously it doesn't have to happen in a hurry either. You can let all the time expire, it doesn't matter, as long as, you don't get this big drop on a short put, you're perfectly okay. And when you understand this, this is just the smarter way to trade. The same thing with if you're bearish, instead of buying a put and, dealing with that theta decay, because that time drag is really what kills your long options. Plus the debit you pay, you have to overcome that debit. Instead of doing a bearish trade with a long put, how about selling the 26 delta call? You receive $3 credit. Again, your pop is 76%. You're going to win at expiration 76% of the time. Again, if you manage at 50%, you're going to win 90% of the time on this trade. It just makes sense to do the short options. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand the allure of long options. I know why so many people are seduced by this dream of buying calls and buying puts and making a bajillion dollars. It's because those long options have unlimited potential reward, right? A long call has a potential profit of infinity, right? A stock can go to infinity as far as how high a price it can go. But realistically, you're not going to win the lottery buying calls or buying puts, right? What's going to happen, we've already discussed it, is because of that debit you pay and then the theta decay as time passes. Time passing hurts that long option. What you're going to do is on all these long options trades, you're going to bleed money. You're just giving money away on these long options, especially if you do them all the time, right? If this is the only trade you do is buying calls, buying puts, maybe you're a technical analysis person and you think you can pick direction. And then after you pick direction, you're going to trade it with long calls and long puts, which are worse than 50-50 coin flip kind of trades. you're going to lose your entire account if you do this long enough. This is not a profitable way to consistently and repeatedly make money trading options. A lot of people buy into a lot of the bullshit that they hear on YouTube from the fake trading gurus. They imagine that they have to hit really big winners. Like if you're not occasionally hitting a really big winning trade, you're not doing it right. You'll never come out ahead. That is not the secret to making money consistently trading. The secret is a whole lot of really small profits over and over and over again. Thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of trades over a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, however long you've got to trade. It's about hitting all of these repeated small trades over and over again that have some positive expectancy. They generate a little money for you. It's not about trying to take a swing and hitting the home runs. That is the sucker play, right? That is for suckers. You don't want to be the sucker buying those calls, buying those puts. You want to be the guy that's actually trading in a smart, responsible way. You want to be the guy selling the sucker his long put and his long call. Anyway, food for thought. If you want to learn more about how to trade responsibly, especially using short option strategies, check out my book, The Super Wheel Option Strategy. This book is great if you're new to options, especially. I cover the basics of long call, long put, short put. I cover the basics of all the Greeks, delta, theta, vega, and I also cover my favorite option strategy, which is the wheel option strategy, which involves mainly selling puts and selling calls. So check out that book. You'll find a link to the book in the description below. All right, guys. Peace.